Can we just talk about how being in your 20 somethings is such a confusing and frustrated time because I don't feel like not enough people are talking about it. So I'm here and relating with you in the fact that I don't know what I'm doing and I don't have everything figured out. And that's okay. This day and age of social media, everybody looks so put together. LinkedIn, everybody has their hashtag wins and their selfie with a founder or some CEO of a company is working junior and senior roles at the age of 25, 26. And it's so hard to not compare yourself to other people and where they're at life. I just watched this girl post her first YouTube video and she went out of her way in her sort of routine to just put the camera up and start talking. And that was just so refreshing because she didn't have her makeup, she didn't look put together. She literally just like showed up and was wearing like something regular. And I was just like, I appreciate the authenticity and just showing up. So you know what? I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna show up in my Spider-Man t-shirt without any makeup and my hair having like little baby hairs at the top and just be authentic and real and talk about how 20 somethings is such a stressful time, confusing time, frustrating time, matter of fact. I'm currently 25, well technically 24. In my head, I have to like brace myself for being mid-20s, and so I'm telling myself now that I'm 25. So I'm currently 25. I thought I was going to be a teacher when I was studying at university. I graduated at 2024, said psych, and actually am pivoting towards user experience design. Went back to school for a master's, no, but for another bachelor's, yes, because I don't know who else can afford masters out here. So I'm back at school getting another bachelor's, studying interaction design and trying to just navigate through what I want in a career. And it's so crazy because I feel like when you're in your 20 somethings, you have a wide variety of people who are either getting full-time jobs at big tech companies or have been in a role long enough and getting promoted to junior or senior roles. Or you have people like literally getting married at 22, having their kids at 24. And comparing yourself like that can just end up becoming a huge shame cycle. And like, who is that even helping? You? No. And taking captive of those thoughts is such a skill and a muscle that I feel like isn't talked about enough. Last month I read the famous Defining Decade, Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of Them Now. One of the most annoying things is realizing how much I react and feel, and it's so hard for me to get out of these negative thought patterns. And in one of the chapters about the brain and body, she talks about how our brain's first job is to keep us alive. And that there's two main parts of the brain. There's the prefrontal cortex and then there's the amygdala. The prefrontal cortex is in charge of reasoning. The amygdala is in charge with feeling. So like if something feels dangerous, like your brain's going to tell you like get out and run away. And your prefrontal cortex is in charge of reasoning, assessing if this situation is safe to do XYZ in or not. Your brain goes through two major growth spurts. The first one is when you are 0 to 18 months, literally just born. And the second major growth spurt is when you're early high school until you're 25. Because in that era, first your amygdala, which is in charge of feelings and emotion, and is fully formed before the prefrontal cortex starts hitting, which is why teenagers have the rep of being emotional and hormonal. And your prefrontal cortex doesn't get fully developed until you're 25. So in your 20s, you have a fully developed part of your brain that's in charge of emotions and feelings. Miss prefrontal cortex doesn't fully develop until mid-25s or even a couple years after. And that just gave me relief that, you know what? God made me this way. I'm not the only one. There is nothing new under the sun. There is nobody who's crazy different. The sun has literally seen everything. And I'm just going through what I'm supposed to go through as a 20-something-year-old. And in being in a relationship with God since I was 15, I realized like how small and like immature, but also like I was literally just a little girl. And now almost being 25, which has almost been 10 years. Wow, God really was with me when I was like prepubescent, like when I was like fetus trying to figure out life. I just remember feeling like very big and large emotions every time something even little were to happen. But like the God who comforted me when I was 15 going through that and just trying to like figure out life and figure out discipleship and Bible and spirituality, like figuring out that journey, like that is the same God who is with me now, being almost 25, trying to figure out life and being an adult in adulthood, and what friendships look like, relationships look like, family look like, routines look like. And so reading that part of Defining Decade just made me remember that God is the same God who was with me and provided for me, and he is going to do the same today. And also just made me reflect on how timeless God is. I had a synapse or a realization that God is so intricate and purposeful in the way that he designed us humans, and that he is so patient with us and so willing to give us all that we need in regards to courage, like being able to experience the season of life as a 20-something-year-old, confused and frustrated, and just being able to sit there at the feet of Jesus and ask for guidance and clarity, but also to ask how to obey, how to be a good steward of the things that I have now. Being in school gives me the time to look for internships and to learn from people who are in different industries, so I can figure out what gifts God has blessed me with and strengths that he's given me so that I can seek first the kingdom and his righteousness. Being a 20-something and being in the season of maybe wilderness, of God refining you and refining your character, and learning to adjust and to stop and to hear and to listen to what God is trying to tell you. And so use this time being confused and frustrated to turn to God and to just rant and feel and be confused and to wrestle and struggle the way that Jacob was wrestling with God. I feel like that there's not enough of that in this culture of, or this Western culture of Christianity. There's not enough struggling in your faith. And all that to say is show up, be genuine, be authentic, be yourself, be real to God, because he, being the good father that he is, and me as a child that I am, I trust that he as a parent heard me and heard my prayer request, and him as a parent knows what's best for me. And if he is all powerful and all knowing and all loving and wants to give me a hope in a future, then why trip out? So you and me both.